welcome back to Disco Elysium. Time to learn more about cryptids. What's the tiniest cryptid?
Hey, you promised you'd only ask about one.
But Kim!
But
I wanna hear
Kim,
about
don't
another.
you want to hear about another cryptid too?
The lieutenant pauses, thoughtfully.
Ah, fuck it. Let's have more cryptids.
Finally, not a buzzkill.
Well, the smallest cryptid is the Cryobacter catlensis, a unicellular bacterium. It was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Katla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago.
What's so special about it?
The bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate. Certainly from before recorded history, Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life.
Wait, she injected herself with it?
Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea.
It's actually a little hard to see. But do go on.
You mean there's no immortal geologist wandering around?
Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream.
What's the most dangerous cryptid? Don't screw us up, Kim.
The gnome of Jeroma.
The gnome of Jeroma?
The name is great.
That sounds terrifying!
Oh, yes. None of its victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue.
What does this cryptid look like?
It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a gangly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die.
If the body of the creature was found, why aren't there detailed illustrations of it in science textbooks, confirming the existence of these very little species?
Alas, the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Are there any invisible cryptids? This will be the last one, Kim. I promise.
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are.
Of course. All fairy tales have someone or something invisible in them.
It's childish, but I need to know.
Shush, Kim! She's going to tell us about the invisible cryptid. What is it?
It's the Coldamama. Its name means thin whisper of sound, and that's precisely what it is. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. The Coldamama is very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Coldamamadakwa can also be translated as a whisper light and low.
A whisper light and low.
Could it be here? Right now?
A whisper light and low.
Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The col de mama d'aqua makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere all of the time, and we wouldn't know.
Fine, I'll bite. How can an animal be a sound?
Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory.
You want to know what this really sounds like? This sounds like an enemy stand.
Could it be here? Right now?
It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights.
It's just like that stand in JoJo Part 6 with the rods.
Sky High?
That's the one, right? Yeah, Sky High.
Yeah.
I was trying to, for some reason, I was thinking that was the tower in Part 4.
No, that's Superfly.
Okay, I was getting them mixed up then.
What evidence is there that what evidence is there of this animal being sound?
Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 20s, a group of areopagite ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds.
Songbirds.
The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the col de mama d'aqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent.
Wow.
They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them.
Name them?
Sequester, Time, Joscan. Those are but some of the Mama d'Aqua they followed individually.
Why is the Mama Doc so afraid of us?
That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction.
Extinction?
They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mama d'Aquas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
They cancel
Yep.
each other out.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population. After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable col de mama d'Aqua population anywhere.
Of course. A common thread in these. Disappearance and unfalsifiability. I like the story, though, ma'am.
I'm glad you did, dear.
Interesting. What about the conclude?
What about what?
This has been educational. Sadly, we need to discuss something else.
Of course, dear.
I like to really hear about Wait, more cryptids?
This is just gonna bring us back to the last menu.
Okay. Tell me about this rare insect your husband was looking for.
Oh, sweetie, it's fascinating. But I shouldn't bore you with entomological minutiae.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance.
No, I want to hear about this insect.
Well, it's a phasmid, technically, but
Ah yes, Phasmatodea, a diverse group of insects whose bodies resemble twigs, leaves, that sort of thing. Ghost insects, colloquially. Oh yeah. Here comes the interesting.
where other phasmids imitate sticks or leaves, this one's a living reed. It disguises itself among the reeds here on the Insulindian coast. Hence its name, the Insulindian phasmid. Perhaps you'll end up co-discovering the phasmid with us officers.
She looks you in the eye and nods thoughtfully.
I knew it. We're gonna be chasing made-up insects with cryptozoologists.
Damn it, Kim, this is fun!
It's not made up, officer. I can assure you. It's simply elusive, so much so that most establishment zoologists doubt it exists at all.
What makes you think the phasmid is around here?
Well, some teenagers making out in the reeds saw one. They didn't know what it was, of course, but there was a brief article in a local newspaper about their encounter with a ghost insect that looks like the reeds. Gary sent us the clipping.
So a newspaper clipping is all the evidence you have.
Of course, most phasmid sightings turn out to be false alarms, but their description matched the Insulindian phasmid perfectly, and they didn't even know what they were looking at.
Enthusiasm has wiped the worry from her face. Her eyes sparkle behind her glasses.
You seem really interested, excited about this cryptid.
I suppose I have something of a personal connection to the Insulindian phasmid. All scientists have their little hobby horses.
So, does it have cool powers?
Yes, it can blend in almost perfectly among the reeds. It's how it stayed hidden all these years, centuries even.
Is it valuable?
Oh, I doubt it. No one gets into cryptozoology for the money, sweetie.
So is it dangerous?
Not at all. Why else would it hide itself so carefully?
Okay, so what's so special about this stick bug then?
Oh dear. I'm afraid I'm not explaining this very well. It is very special.
The woman's face flushes with embarrassment.
Morel can explain it all much better. I wish you could hear him describe it. Then you'd understand, I'm sure.
Tell me more about Morel. Looks, character, your relationship.
Oh dear. I'm not sure where to begin.
What does your husband look like?
Well, his expression is slightly grumpy, but his eyes are always bright and curious, like a small boy's. And his palms are quite coarse from all the field work, but he's quite gentle.
Let's try this again. If I were trying to meet him on the street, what would I look for?
Oh, well, he's a bit shorter than you, but with a larger frame. And he has longish white hair, usually a bit uncombed. You might say wild, even.
The lieutenant pulls out his notebook and begins jotting down the woman's description.
One other thing, he'll likely have all kinds of field gear on him, even if he's not out in the reeds, you know, just in case.
How long have you two been married?
We'll be celebrating our 16th anniversary this autumn. Not the most numerically satisfying anniversary, but I like the less obvious milestones even more somehow.
How did you two meet?
Via dating agency, I'm ashamed to say. I was looking to get back into the scene after recovering from my accident. And he'd just divorced. We hit it off and, well, here we are.
She's skipping over some important parts. Perhaps you'll find out more later.
I think I have all the information I need. Let's move on.
I hope I've been useful.
Uh, you don't actually notice this about me, but actually, I've lost all the memory of the world and myself. And I have no idea what I'm doing.
Surely things can't be that bad.
You sense that she won't judge you, no matter what you say.
Yeah, I guess I'm blowing this whole thing out of proportion.
I think we need to go
Forget-
down the darker side of this if we want to get that thought where it's horrible. I think.
I don't want a horrible thought.
No. It's the thought that we want to get that'll give us XP along with that for the green dots.
Oh, okay, things aren't bad, they're catastrophic.
You know where we are, right?
We're in New Hampshire. Is that the right one?
I mean, I think that specifically was what we needed to do. I don't know from here where. I think we needed this branch, though.
Okay, so we're in New Hampshire?
That's right. In a hostel called the Whirling in Rags, to be precise.
Okay.
Yes. And Revachol?
Revachol is the disgraced capital of the world. Something like that.
Yes. Great, see? We're getting somewhere. What else do you know about our city of splendor, tattered as she may be?
Honestly, I don't know anything about Revachol.
Oh my. How would I even begin to tell you? Revachol is the most beautiful city in the world. We're fortunate to be here, you and I. I haven't seen very many other cities personally. Everyone says so. Revachol is a rare jewel. This city used to rule the world, though it has seen better days.
There's a pause as she studies your expression. You must look quite lost.
Speaking of history, you know what year it is, yes?
It's the spring of 51?
It's a bad year in my late 40s or 50s. I don't even know how old I am.
It's the spring of 51.
That's right, dear. How splendid. Here, take this pen. Knowledge should always be rewarded.
Oh, hey, we got an item.
Her relief is palpable. She was getting pretty worried about you there, but now she relaxes her shoulders. Outside, spring rain seeps into the cracks in the walls and the cobblestone streets, and into grated storm drains, all the way down into the sewers. Above ground, the first maybells blossom.
I can tell that this is taxing for you, so I'll just ask one more question. What regime are we living under? What mode of government?
Cop! We're living under the cop regime.
Actually, we are not. You could say that about almost any other nation, but not Revachol. Try it one more time, officer. What mode of government?
Radios are being used to control the people's mind.
We're being governed by intelligent machines that perform calculations to determine the freest market, and everybody hustles and grinds like a badass visionary.
Fucking God.
Oh no, nothing like that, dear. Revachol is a zone of control led by an alliance of foreign powers called the Coalition. We have almost no government of our own. Certainly no machines.
I don't know. Still looks like there's a lot of hustling going on. Maybe she's wrong. Also,
If there's no government, how are there cops?
Oh dear, this is troubling. You really ought to know that, being one yourself. There aren't really any cops in Revachol, not in the traditional sense. The status of law enforcement has been a complicated matter since the revolution. But we should stop for today, sweetie. You look like you need a break. Besides, I'm not the best person to explain the big things to anyone.
she's scared now. She's realized you really are brain damaged.
So how did I do?
You didn't do very well, dear. it does look like you're having trouble remembering things. History and places. Remembering reality in a word. It's very odd.
A sigh. The lieutenant buries his nose in his notebook.
But maybe a fresh set of eyes is what the world needs. And while I'm no doctor, such bouts of amnesia are often temporary, so I wouldn't worry too much.
She means this sincerely. Worrying won't do you any good.
What is this revolution you mentioned?
A defeat, I'm afraid. The people of this archipelago tried to build something new. Something different. The rest of the world didn't like it, so they came and ended it. This was 42 years ago.
So what does this have to do about there not being any cops?
It has something to do with everything. I really don't know how to explain it better.
Who could tell me more?
Someone more educated in sweeping matters. Maybe you should ask.
She turns to the lieutenant.
No, I'm not an encyclopedia. I won't be a guide either. I'm a police officer.
Of course. Then, I don't know, someone rich maybe. Wealthy people are educated, though I don't know where you would find a wealthy person in Martinez. But thank you, sweetie. You did make me forget about my worries for a while.
That I have for now, ma'am.
Alright, so here's the next thing. I think we need to go to Joyce, and then we need to ditch Kim.
Okay.
Was that? Could it be? The Calder Mama Dakwa? No. It's probably just your imagination ringing in your ears.
Is there a ringing?
Listen more closely.
There seems to be an extremely high-pitched ring. Ultrasonic. Lena said it was very high-pitched, right? It's like something tickles your ear. Honestly, your ear isn't hearing a whole lot. The distant hum of the industrial harbor, the traffic. But, admittedly, there is a high-pitched noise somewhere there too. But then, isn't there always?
Listen closely.
There it is again. You're about to rediscover a long-lost species.
Keep listening.
It must be very close. Maybe, just maybe, it will come toward you. Keep still. It might perch on your shoulder. What are you doing? You're a police officer, not a pansy ornithologist. The only birds you should be looking for are healthy women of childbearing age.
Wait, Kim. Birds are healthy?
Well, yeah.
It took-
Don't you remember like the old term used to be? You got to go look at that bird over there. Like back in the 20s or something like that.
And like pigeon? Like wasn't that like a slang term for like
I don't
You-
know about specifics like that. I know bird used to be used to be like a term for women at one point, like a slang.
Okay, wait, Kim, do you hear a high-pitched noise?
No, I don't hear the Koldomama Dakwa, and neither do you.
Of course he doesn't. He's deaf.
Damn it, Kim!
Hold very still and hope the bird comes to perch on your shoulder.
Oh no. The sound. It's moving away. Somewhere over there. Go after it. No. Too late. It's gone. There is no
No.
ringing anymore. Just the sound of the streets.
No, come back, please!
Keep your ears peeled, then.
It's a
If
thought.
the species really has migrated to Martinez, you're sure to hear it again.
I don't remember what it does. But we have something more important to look into first.
Yes.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
This is the one we need.
You seem smart. I need somebody to give me a lowdown on what this reality we're in.
This reality.
She pulls her hood closer around her neck.
No time to explain. Just give me the lowdown.
No, but please. A little context. We're not in such a hurry.
We have time for you to tell me why you need a reality lowdown.
It's related to the medical episode. I've been having trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality.
Ah, yes. The episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it.
She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look
Oof.
good, but begin with the first, okay?
Ooh.
Do we have anything to boost conceptualization?
I think we have at least one thing, but I don't know if it's gonna do much for us.
Because it's impossible.
Uh-huh.
Yet, we passed an impossible check before.
It's true, we did.
And then we failed a... Like, what was that? Like 93?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Might have
Where-
been 98 or 97.
Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Mm-hmm. And what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
So, are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensités Bleues, the blue immensities, vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
So, Revachol seems very French.
I mean, you know, in general.
Wait. I forget, was the guy who made this French?
No. I forget what the nationality is.
What's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble.
Uh,
A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river.
damn it,
opposite
Caillou,
Orange,
and
the
your
Martinez
head, and
Distributary.
you're always going on adventures.
I know that's a reference to something and I'm blanking on it.
Caillou,
It's clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
it's a show, I think, is still on that was like popular with preschoolers.
I have no idea.
Ryan was complaining about it at some point, saying what an asshole he is.
That's probably why I remember it. It's him complaining about it.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
Okay, that's Martinez, but what about Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. The
So
great
what kind
kind.
of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
The great kind.
As if it's
Yep, they're on.
self-explanatory. Beyond patriotism. A fact.
What makes Revachol great?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay, who built this city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
When did they build this city?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the
That didn't work.
terrible questions of our
I
time
know.
will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
What? Here.
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're in an unimportant part of an important place.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about...
She points across the water where the skyscraper rises.
A sparkle of lights on the horizon. Like evening stars above the curvature of the planet.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Where are we?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She watches you closely as you scan the horizon.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental...
So they
questions
did
of
cover it.
reality.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Madame Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
But I want to know everything now! And that's not the thought we were after, by the way.
Yes, there was.
Are you sure?
I just looked it up.
I thought it was a different one.
One XP for every orb clicked.
Alright, well then that is the one we're after. Alright. I was thinking it was a different one.
So, open up a slot and slot that in.
Unlock the slot.
Yep, that was on Ninja Sex Party's second cover album.
Alright. Well, we got what we needed. I thought we had... Well, we do need to come back and talk to her at some point, because there is another thought we get with Kim gone.
But I want to know everything now!
That is understandable, but perhaps it's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
That's all for now.
I think it's this we need to beat to get it.
Glad to have been of assistance.
Hold on, let's see. We wanted to see about, like, conceptualization.
And what was the other one?
You're back.
Aspiritus,
Good.
I think?
What can I help you with? More lessons in basic
Yeah, Aspiritus.
reality?
Yeah.
That's the one we have a couple
My favorite.
for.
Glad to have been of
Spiritus and conceptualization.
There's one. Let's do the Aspiritus first. Because I know we've got at least a couple of those. Yeah, but that just replaces the jacket we've got on here. Takes up the same spot.
What's a blank space?
Here, glasses.
No, I mean the one next to the black shirt.
Next to the black shirt.
To the left of the black shirt.
There's nothing there.
Why is there a blank space there, though?
Because we equipped what was there before, now it's blank.
Oh,
It
never
doesn't
mind
auto
then.
slide a thing in place. So there's a hat there now.
Oh, never mind. Because there was a bunch of blank stuff at the bottom, I thought it auto slid it.
I thought we had another Spiritus de Corp besides the coat. Well, the two coats.
We can put on the glasses.
That's logic. And that's visual calculus. Neither of them really help us here.
Oh.
We've got an extra +1, so
You're
what
back.
does
Good. More lessons in basic reality.
28%?
My favorite part of the day. Go
We'll
ahead.
g-
Ask me anything.
We'll get back to it later.
Well, let's see what we
Glad
can
to
do
have
with
been a bit-
conceptualization then, at the very least, while we're here. Alright, conceptualization. Electra, there's one. Suggestion, logic, visual calculus, drama, logic. There's another one. So we can get, they're not taking away from it, right?
We have +2
I just
conceptualization.
wanted to make sure there wasn't anything that was making it a minus.
Good. What can I? More
So
lessons
that
in
gives
basic
still
reality.
3%.
My
Nah!
favorite part of the day.
Try it again
Glad to
later.
have been a-
Yeah.
I think we.
So,
No, we don't have enough. Okay.
no.
I
So,
think
on the
so.
next episode of Disco Elysium, we will be getting rid of Kim. For
Throw 'em
what
out the
purpose?
window.
For what purpose?
There's another thought we can pick up while we're here.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Again,
Do we need to get rid of him?
we need to for that one. Yeah.
Okay, so that will be on the next episode.
Yeah.